Cloud herding on Sagalla. On the gentle slopes of Sagalla Hill, in the heart of Tanya's Tata Hills, lives a young girl named Amani. She's about 12 years old, with bright eyes full of curiosity and a smile that lights up her village. Amani's family, like many others here, depends on the clouds, not just for shade or stories, but for something much more precious: water. You see, up here, water is a treasure. The rains don't always come when the farmers need them most, and the streams sometimes run dry before the year is done. So the people of Sagala have learned to listen closely to the mountains and the wind, to catch the clouds themselves. And Amani, she's becoming one of the best cloud herders the village has ever known. This story takes place just a few years ago, but it feels like something from long ago too, because what Amani and her village do is a beautiful mix of old wisdom and new ideas. It's about watching the sky, reading its signs, and using simple tools to turn the fog into water. Amani's journey began when her grandmother, Mama Wanjiku, showed her how to read the mountain winds. The wind tells us stories, Mama Wanjiku said one morning as they stood on a rocky ridge. It brings clouds that hide in the valleys and climb the hills. If you know where to find them, you can catch their water before it slips away. At first, Amani couldn't see much. The fog seemed like a thick moving wall that covered everything, but her grandmother was patient. She taught Amani to watch how the clouds moved, how the wind pushed them from east to west, how the cool air settled like a soft blanket over the trees, and how the fog would thin just enough in some places to let the sun peek through. Then came the clever part, using fog nets. Fog nets are not magic, but they might as well be. They are large nets made from fine mesh, stretched between poles on the hilltops where the fog passes through. When the mist brushes against the nets, tiny drops of water gather on the threads. Gravity pulls the drops down into troughs and channels, collecting water that the village can drink, cook with, and use for their gardens. Amani learned to place the nets where the fog was thickest, guided by the wind's whispers. She became a cloud herder, leading the invisible herds of mist to the nets, making sure no drop was wasted. The water from these nets is so pure and fresh, the villagers often say, "We drink our clouds." One afternoon, after a good morning of fog catching, Amani sat with her friends and sketched a small model of a fog net. "Imagine we could build one right here," she said, tracing poles and mesh on paper. "We could catch water even when the rains don't come." If you're listening and wondering how to make your own tiny fog net model, here's a little activity you can try at home. Grab a piece of sturdy cardboard or a shoebox lid. Use sticks, straws, or even pencils to create a simple frame, like a little fence. Then stretch a piece of fine mesh, gauze, or a thin cloth over it. Tilt your frame slightly, spray it with a misty water spray bottle, and watch how the droplets collect and run down. That's exactly how the fog nets on Sagalla work, but on a much bigger scale. Back in the village, Amani's work with the fog nets didn't just bring water, it brought hope. Her smart, careful watching of the winds and clouds helped her community survive dry seasons and keep their gardens green. It was a simple idea, but it showed how nature and human cleverness can team up. So the next time you see clouds rolling over a mountain, think of Amani and her village quietly herding the clouds, turning mist into life. It's a reminder that sometimes the answers we need are all around us, if only we learn to read the winds.